Welcome, dear friend. Today you will listen to a story, and through this story, you will practice English. But this is not only about words. This is also about life. It is about dreams, about hope, and about courage. As you listen, you will not only learn English, you will also learn how to keep your heart strong when life feels heavy. Maybe you know this feeling. You have a dream. You want to be better. You want to learn English, get a good job, travel, or change your life. But sometimes the dream feels too big. It feels far away, like a mountain you cannot climb. People around you say, "It is too hard." Or maybe a voice inside your head whispers, "You are not good enough." This is the moment many people stop. This is the moment many people give up. But let us think for a moment. What happens if you give up? Nothing changes. The dream stays far away, and your heart grows cold. You live the same life every day, and deep inside, you feel something is missing. That is the life of giving up. But what happens if you continue? What happens if you keep dreaming? You may fall, yes. You may feel pain, yes. But every step, every try, every lesson brings you closer. That is the life of never stopping. That is the life of a dreamer. This is where our story begins. Long ago, there was a boy. He was not rich. He was not strong. He was not born with special power. He was just a boy, like any boy or girl in the world. But inside his heart, there was a fire. He wanted more. He wanted to see the world. He wanted to change his life. He wanted to do something great, even when everyone around him said, "It is impossible." The boy's story is not only his story, it is also your story. Because every learner, every dreamer, every person who listens to this now has something in common with him. You want more. You want to grow. You want to rise above fear, doubt, and weakness. The boy's story will show you that it is possible. It will show you that even the smallest person can carry the biggest dream. As you listen, remember, English is not only about grammar or words. English is about connection. It is about expressing your dream. It is about giving your dream a voice. This story will help you learn English, yes, but it will also help you believe in yourself. So open your heart, open your mind. Step into the journey of the boy who never stopped dreaming. Let us begin with where it all started, his childhood dreams. The small boy with big dreams. In a quiet village, far away from busy cities, there lived a small boy. His house was made of wood and old stone. His clothes were simple and often torn. His shoes had holes, and sometimes he had no shoes at all. The boy's family was poor, and life was not easy. Every morning he woke up early to help his parents with work. He carried water, he collected firewood, he fed the animals. While other children played freely, he spent his time working. Yet inside his heart, something was different. He looked at the wide sky above his village, and he wondered what was beyond the mountains. He watched the river flowing, and he dreamed of traveling on ships. He saw books in the small school library, and his eyes grew wide with wonder. He did not only see the world around him. He imagined the world that could be. Other children laughed at him. They said, "Why dream? This is our life. We will live here, we will work here, and we will die here." They were content with little. They followed the same path as their parents. But the boy shook his head. He wanted more. He wanted to see what was outside his village. He wanted to do something that nobody there had ever done. Sometimes he sat alone under a tree, drawing pictures in the dirt. He drew big houses, tall buildings, and people wearing fine clothes. He drew airplanes and oceans and countries he had never seen. The children laughed louder. "Look at him," they said. "He thinks he can fly. He thinks he can be rich. He thinks he can be different." But even as they laughed, he kept drawing. Even as they mocked, he kept dreaming. Dreams are like seeds. They start small, almost invisible, but they grow in silence. The boy's dream was like this. It was a seed in dry soil, and yet he watered it with hope every day. His family had little food, but his dream fed him. His house had no books, but his imagination became his teacher. He felt poor on the outside, but inside he felt rich with possibility. Still, it was not easy. Some nights he lay awake, staring at the dark roof of his house. His stomach was empty, and his heart was heavy. A voice inside whispered, "Maybe they are right. Maybe you are foolish. Maybe dreams are not for you." These were the moments of doubt, the moments when it was easier to stop. But then he remembered the sky, the river, the pictures in his head. He told himself, "If others can live big lives, why not me? If others can see the world, why not me?" One day, the school teacher asked the children to write about their future. The other boys wrote simple things. "I will be a farmer. I will be a worker. I will stay here." But the boy wrote, "I will see the world. I will build something great. I will make my life different." The teacher read his paper and smiled sadly. She said, "It is a nice dream, but maybe too big." The class laughed again, but the boy did not change his words. He stood by them. It is easy to follow the crowd. It is safe to walk the road that everyone else walks. But the boy wanted a new road, a road no one in his village had taken. That is what made him different. He dared to imagine more. Dreaming big starts small. It starts with one picture in your mind, one thought in your heart, one word of courage on your lips. The boy did not have money, he did not have power, but he had a dream. And that dream was enough to keep him moving forward. Still, a dream alone cannot change life. A dream is the fire, but action is the fuel. Without action, a dream is only a picture, a story in your head. The boy was about to learn this truth. Because soon, life would test him. Soon, he would face his first challenge, and he would need more than dreams to survive. But dreaming alone was not enough. Soon he faced his first test, laughter and doubt. The boy's dreams grew brighter, but so did the laughter of the people around him. Every time he spoke about what he wanted, someone was ready to mock him. At school, when he told his classmates that he wanted to travel the world, the children pointed their fingers and laughed. "Travel the world," they said. "You cannot even leave the village. You have no money. You have no power. You are just a poor boy." Their words were sharp, and they cut deep into his young heart. In the evenings, when he sat by the fire and told his family that one day he wanted to do something great, even his brothers and cousins laughed. "Great things are not for us," they said. "We are poor. We must stay here, work hard, and survive. Do not waste your time with foolish dreams." His uncle once told him, "Dreams do not fill your stomach. Work fills your stomach." The boy stayed quiet, but inside he felt torn. Was he truly foolish for dreaming? Even neighbors joined the laughter. When he walked to the small shop in the village, someone would whisper, "Here comes the dreamer." Another would add, "He will end up with nothing because he does not live in the real world." The boy felt their eyes on him, heavy with doubt. He tried to smile, but inside he felt pain. This was the easy road, to listen, to agree, to give up. Many children took that road. They accepted the laughter as truth, and they stopped dreaming. It was easier to bend than to stand tall. It was easier to stay small than to fight for something more. But the boy asked himself, "If I give up, what will I become? If I stop dreaming, what will my life be?" He saw the answer clearly. He would be the same as everyone else. He would wake up, work in the fields, eat the same food, speak the same words, live and die without seeing the world beyond his village. That thought scared him more than the laughter. So he chose the harder road, to believe in himself, even when nobody else did. It was not easy. Doubt is like a shadow. It follows you wherever you go. Some nights, lying on his small bed, he closed his eyes and heard the voices of the children laughing, the voices of his family doubting. His heart grew heavy. He wondered, maybe they are right. Maybe I am too small. Maybe I cannot do anything. The easy road whispered to him every night, "Stop, give up, forget your dream." But then, in the silence, another voice spoke inside him. It was soft, but strong. It said, "No, keep going. You were made for more. Believe first, and the world will believe later." That voice gave him strength. It was not the voice of his family, not the voice of his neighbors, not the voice of his teacher. It was his own voice, and he decided to listen to it. One morning at school, the children teased him again. "Tell us, dreamer, what big plan do you have today?" they asked with mocking smiles. This time, he did not stay silent. He lifted his head and said, "One day I will leave this village. One day I will see the world." The class burst into laughter, but the boy did not lower his eyes. For the first time, he felt strong. He learned something important. When you believe in yourself, you stand taller, even when the world laughs at you. The lesson was clear. People will doubt you. They will call you foolish. They will tell you that your dreams are too big. But the first person who must believe is you. Without your own belief, no dream can live. With your belief, even the smallest dream can grow. Yet, belief does not remove pain. The boy still felt lonely. He still felt the sting of cruel words. He still carried the weight of doubt. He knew that walking the harder road would not be easy. But he also knew that the easy road, the road of giving up, would kill his spirit. So he chose again and again to believe. Still, believing was not easy when life grew harder. A life of struggle. Life in the village was not gentle. For the boy, each day began before the sun rose. His stomach was often empty, but he still had to work. He carried heavy buckets of water from the river. He cut wood until his hands were rough and sore. He helped his parents in the fields, under the hot sun, with little rest. His body was small, but his work was heavy. Hunger was his silent companion. Many days he ate only a little rice or bread, never enough to feel full. At school, the struggle continued. Other children had books, pencils, and clothes without holes. The boy had only one old notebook, filled with thin, fading pages. Sometimes he borrowed a broken pencil from a kind classmate. He dreamed of having colorful pens and new books, but those things were far away, like stars in the night sky. When it rained, he walked to school in wet clothes because he had no umbrella. When it was cold, he shivered. because his coat was thin. The hardest part was watching others live more easily. He saw children who went home to warm meals, while he went home to empty bowls. He saw families who laughed together in strong houses, while his family's roof leaked when it rained. He saw boys who played football freely, while he worked in the fields until the moon came out. Every time he saw these things, his heart felt heavy. A voice whispered inside, "Why fight? Why try? Your life will always be hard." This was the comfort of giving up. If he gave up, he could stop trying. He could accept his life as it was. He could tell himself, "This is my fate. Nothing will change." It would be easier to join the other boys, laugh with them, and forget about his dreams. Giving up would take away the pain of failure, the pain of hope, but it would also take away the fire in his heart. On the other side stood courage. The courage to continue, even with empty hands. The boy understood that courage did not mean the struggle disappeared. Hunger stayed, poverty stayed, hard work stayed. But courage meant he could still walk forward, even when the road was steep. Courage meant his dream was still alive, even when the world told him no. Many nights he lay in bed, tired and weak, his body aching from work. He thought about the children who were already asleep in warm homes. He thought about the students who had many books to read. Tears often filled his eyes. But then he looked at the stars through the holes in his roof. The stars reminded him of something greater. They whispered, "Do not stop. Struggle is not the end. Struggle is the beginning." Slowly, he began to see his struggle differently. He realized that hunger made him strong. It taught him the value of food. Poverty taught him the value of money and hard work. Tiredness taught him discipline. He saw that the same struggle that could break him could also build him. It was like lifting heavy stones. At first, the stones crushed his hands, but over time, his arms grew strong. One day, after finishing his chores, the boy walked by a neighbor's house. Inside, he saw another boy studying by the light of a bright lamp, surrounded by books. For a moment, jealousy burned in his chest. He thought, "Why not me? Why is life unfair?" But then another thought came. If he has books, I will find knowledge in other ways. If he has light, I will use the stars. If he has teachers, I will teach myself. This thought gave him peace. He began to use his struggle as fuel. When he had no books, he copied lessons over and over to remember them. When he had no lamp, he studied near the fire until it went out. When his body was tired, he whispered to himself, "Every step, every effort is building me." Slowly, his pain turned into power. The contrast was clear. Struggle could break him if he let it. It could make him bitter, hopeless, and small. But if he chose courage, struggle could build him into someone strong, someone wise, someone who could carry a dream much larger than himself. And so, the boy walked forward, step by step, carrying both his hunger and his hope. He did not know how, he did not know when, but he knew he must keep going. Because one day, he believed, the struggle would shape him into more than just a poor boy from a small village. One day, he made a choice that changed everything. The first step. Dreams are beautiful, but dreams alone do not change life. A dream is like a picture drawn in the sand. If the wind blows, it disappears. The boy understood this truth when his heart grew tired of only imagining. He realized that dreaming without action was like staring at the stars but never moving your feet. If he wanted his dream to live, He had to take the first step. One evening, after finishing his chores, the boy sat quietly by the fire. His parents were asleep, and the house was dark except for the small flames. His stomach was empty, but his mind was full. He thought, I cannot wait for life to change. I must change it myself. I cannot wait for someone to give me a chance. I must create my own chance. In that moment, he made a decision. He would begin with what he had, no matter how small. He found his old, torn notebook. The pages were nearly full, but there was still a little space left. He also found a short pencil so small that it was difficult to hold. It was not much, but it was enough. That night, while the village slept, he opened the notebook and began to copy the words he remembered from school. The letters were shaky and his eyes were heavy, but he pushed forward. It was the first real step toward his dream. At first, it felt strange. He thought, what difference will this make? One page, one word. How can this change my life? But deep inside, he knew. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with one small step. Without this step, there would never be a second, and without the second, there would never be 1,000. In the following weeks, the boy made it his habit. Every night, after finishing his work, he studied by the dim firelight. He copied words again and again. He practiced sentences out loud. Sometimes he whispered the words into the dark, teaching himself as if he were both the student and the teacher. His voice was soft, but his heart was strong. The contrast became clear in his mind. Dreaming without action kept him trapped. It was like standing at the edge of a river but never crossing. Dreaming with action, even small action, felt like building a bridge stone by stone. Each stone was heavy. Each night was long, but he could feel the bridge growing. Others did not see his effort. They only saw a poor boy with big ideas. The laughter did not stop. Classmates still mocked him, neighbors still whispered, and family still doubted. But for the first time, their voices did not matter as much. Because he knew something they did not. He was moving. He was no longer standing still. The boy also began to practice a skill outside his schoolwork. He loved drawing, so he used sticks to sketch pictures in the dirt. At first, they were simple shapes, but slowly he improved. His hand grew steady, his eye grew sharp. Every line was another step forward. He began to believe that even if he had nothing, he could create something. His dream no longer lived only in his mind, it lived in his actions. Still, it was not easy. Many nights, he fell asleep on his notebook, his hand still holding the tiny pencil. Many days, he felt weak from hunger, his body begging him to rest. Sometimes he wanted to quit, to tell himself, it does not matter. But then he remembered the truth. Without action, his dream was only air. With action, even small action, his dream had weight. One night, while practicing, he looked at his notebook filled with words and thought, this is mine. No one can take this away. Every line I write is a piece of my future. His heart filled with quiet pride. It was not the pride of being better than others, but the pride of finally moving toward something greater. This first step taught him an important lesson. Greatness does not arrive all at once. Success does not fall from the sky. It grows slowly, like a plant. You must water it, protect it, and wait for it to bloom. His notebook, his drawings, his whispered practice, these were the seeds. And though the world could not yet see them, He knew one day they would grow into something beautiful. The boy's life was still hard. He was still poor, still hungry, still surrounded by doubt. But inside, something had changed. He no longer felt powerless. He no longer felt like a prisoner of his fate. He had taken his first step, and that step gave him courage to take another. But with every step forward came new failures. The power of failure. The boy's first steps gave him hope, but they did not give him quick success. Each attempt was met with mistakes. Each effort brought new difficulties. Failure became his daily teacher, though at first he hated its lessons. One day he tried to read a book that was far above his level. The words were long and the sentences were heavy. He read one line again and again, but it still made no sense. His head hurt, his eyes burned, and finally he closed the book in anger. Maybe I am too stupid, he thought. Maybe the others were right. The next day at school, he mispronounced a word when reading aloud. The class burst into laughter. Their voices rang in his ears. "He cannot even read!" they shouted. The boy sat down with red cheeks, his dream shaking inside him. Another time, he tried to draw a picture of a bird. In his mind, it was beautiful, wings spread wide across the sky. But on the ground, his lines looked broken and strange. His cousin saw the drawing and laughed. "This does not look like a bird. It looks like a rock with legs." The boy wanted to throw away his stick and never draw again. Failure followed him in every corner. When he tried to speak in front of others, his voice trembled. When he tried to solve a problem in class, his answer was wrong. Each failure was another stone thrown at him, and the people around him were quick to laugh. "Dreamer, dreamer," they mocked, "your dreams are empty. You cannot even succeed in small things." At first, the boy believed them. He thought, maybe failure means the end. Maybe this is a sign that I should stop. Many people think this way. They see failure as proof that they are not good enough. They think one fall means they can never rise. They choose the safe path of never trying again. But as the boy sat alone one night, looking at his torn notebook, he noticed something. His pages were filled with mistakes, wrong spellings, messy letters, half-finished sentences. Yet when he compared the first page with the last, he saw a difference. His letters had grown clearer. His words had grown stronger. Every mistake had carried a hidden lesson. Every failure had moved him forward, even when it felt like he was stuck. This was the power of failure. It was not the end. It was the road to growth. Failure was like fire. It could burn him, or it could shape him like gold. The choice was his. If he quit, the fire would destroy him. If he continued, the fire would make him shine. The contrast became clear in his heart. Those who see failure as the end become prisoners of fear. They stop walking, and their dreams die. But those who see failure as learning keep moving. They rise again and again, and each fall makes them stronger. The boy decided to be among the second group. He would no longer fear failure. He would welcome it. The next time he mispronounced a word in class and the children laughed, he stayed calm. He repeated the word until he got it right. His classmates still laughed, but he noticed something new. The word that once frightened him was now his friend. Failure had given him a gift. When his drawings looked strange, he did not throw them away. He drew again, and again, and again. Slowly, The bird on the ground began to look like the bird in his mind. The same cousins who had mocked him began to stare with surprise. They said, "This one looks better. This one is not bad." Failure had not left him, it never does, but it no longer crushed him. Each failure became a stone in the bridge he was building. Without those stones, there would be no way across. The boy learned that success does not come without failure. Just as the seed must break before it grows into a tree, the dreamer must fail before he rises. Every fall is a lesson. Every mistake is a step. He understood now that failure was not his enemy. It was his teacher. The laughter of others still hurt. Their doubt still stung. But he carried a new truth inside him. Failure is part of success. The world might laugh when he fell, but one day they would see him rise higher because of it. What kept him alive was not talent. It was persistence. Never giving up. The boy had learned the power of failure, but learning alone was not enough. He had to act every day without stopping. Some mornings, he woke with aching muscles from the day before. His hands were raw from carrying water and cutting wood. His eyes burned from reading by dim firelight. Many children would have slept in or given up, but the boy did not. He had discovered a secret. Success belongs to those who never give up. Every night, he returned to his small, torn notebook. He practiced writing the same words over and over. He read the same sentences again and again. Sometimes he whispered the words aloud, and his voice trembled. Sometimes he made mistakes, and sometimes he wanted to close the book and forget. But he did not. He turned every failure into a new try. Each day was a chance to improve. Each night was a chance to grow stronger. In the fields, he worked hard, but his mind was never empty. Even while carrying water or feeding animals, he imagined himself achieving his dreams. He imagined standing in cities he had never seen. He imagined speaking English fluently to people far away. The world of his imagination was larger than the small village he lived in. Yet, he knew imagination alone would not be enough. Action must follow vision, and he acted every day. Others around him gave up easily. Some children dropped out of school. Some boys stopped trying to read or write. They were content with small lives, easy and safe. When they fell, they stayed down. They believed that failure was the end. Their dreams stayed small, or they disappeared entirely. The boy watched them and felt pity, not for himself, but for them. He understood that quitting made life smaller, giving up closed doors that might have been opened by persistence. The boy's persistence was not dramatic. There were no fireworks, no sudden success. It was quiet, patient, and steady. He rose early, worked hard, and practiced late into the night. He fell and stood again. He stumbled and took small steps forward. Every action was repeated. Every effort was repeated. Each repetition made him stronger. Each repetition made him braver. One afternoon, he tried to solve a very difficult problem in school. His classmates laughed when he could not find the answer. He felt frustrated and angry. His first instinct was to give up. He wanted to walk away, to leave the notebook behind, to stop trying. But then he remembered the nights he had stayed awake studying. He remembered the failures that had taught him lessons. He remembered the small victories he had already achieved. He picked up his pencil, tried again, and this time, he solved it. The feeling of triumph was quiet, but it was powerful. Persistence had won. His drawings also improved. The first birds he drew looked like rocks. The first trees were simple lines. But every day he drew more, practiced more, and studied more. Slowly, his pictures began to match the images in his mind. It was not talent alone that made the difference. Many children were naturally good at drawing, but they did not work hard. He knew now that hard work, day after day, created skill that talent alone could never reach. Sometimes he walked alone through the village, carrying the small notebook in his hands. People still whispered, "Dreamer, dreamer," but he walked with his head high. Their words could no longer stop him. Every step forward was proof that he had chosen the hard road. Every step forward showed that consistency beats talent. The boy's life was not easy, but his spirit was growing. His courage was becoming stronger than the laughter and doubt of others. Persistence became a habit, like breathing. He could not stop, even if he wanted to. Even small victories made him smile. Even small mistakes made him try again. The road was long, the nights were hard, the tasks were heavy, but he kept moving. Slowly, slowly, the bridge to his dreams was growing, stone by stone, night by night. The story of the quitter and the story of the dreamer are very different. The quitter stops at the first failure. The dreamer keeps moving, even when falling is painful. The quitter rests in comfort but loses hope. The dreamer works in hardship and finds strength. The boy was learning this lesson with every breath, every step, and every page of his notebook. But persistence is only powerful when joined with vision. A dream turns into a plan. The boy had learned to persist, but he realized that persistence alone was not enough. Working hard without direction is like rowing a boat without a map. You move, but you do not know where you are going. One night, as he stared at the stars through the small hole in his roof, he made a decision. It was time to turn his dream into a plan. He could no longer rely only on hope. Hope was the spark, but a plan was the fire. He opened his old notebook and began to write. At first, it was simple. Learn English, read books, draw every day, practice every day. Each goal was small, but together, they formed a path. He divided them into steps he could take each day. Some steps were easy, some were difficult, but each step moved him closer to his dream. For the first time, he felt a direction, a purpose, a map of the future in his hands. Before, his effort had been scattered. He practiced English when he remembered, drew when he felt inspired, and studied whenever he had time. Sometimes, he forgot. Sometimes, he wasted hours doing nothing. Now, every action had meaning. He learned that random effort was like pouring water on the ground. It disappears without growing anything. But effort with a plan was like planting seeds in the soil, watering them carefully, and watching them grow day by day. Each morning, he woke with his goals in mind. He would practice reading for 1 hour, write new words in his notebook, and review the lessons from the day before. In the afternoons, he drew pictures to improve his focus and creativity. At night, he reviewed his work and corrected mistakes. Small steps, repeated every day, began to build a foundation for his future. Discipline became his partner. His vision became his guide. Sometimes, opportunities appeared in small ways. A kind teacher noticed his effort and lent him a book with easy English stories. A neighbor offered him scraps of paper to draw on. He accepted every help gratefully and used it wisely. Every opportunity, no matter how small, became part of his plan. He learned that progress is not always fast, but it is steady when you have a plan. Contrast helped him understand the importance of planning. Some children worked hard in random ways. They practiced drawing, studied English, or helped in the fields without thinking about the future. They became tired quickly and often gave up. The boy's structured effort, combined with his vision, gave him energy. It kept him focused. Every small victory encouraged him to continue. He realized that discipline, combined with a clear goal, created real progress. He also learned to measure his progress. He compared the words he could read today with the words he struggled with yesterday. He compared his drawings from last month with his drawings from today. Step by step, he saw improvement. Each small success became proof that his plan worked. Each step was evidence that his dream was becoming real. Even when the work was hard, the boy felt a quiet satisfaction. He knew that each effort was not wasted. Each sentence he read, each word he wrote, each picture he drew was a brick in the bridge to his dream. He could see the path ahead, even if it was long and difficult. He knew that vision without discipline is empty, and discipline without vision is lost. Together, they formed a power he had never felt before. He began to feel more confident. When classmates laughed, he smiled quietly. He was no longer lost in the crowd of doubt. He knew where he was going, and he had the tools to reach his goals. His plan became his shield against fear and discouragement. Every small action had a purpose, and every day was a step toward his dream. The boy's life was still not easy. Poverty, hunger, and long workdays continued. But now, he had something stronger than these difficulties, a plan. His dream was no longer floating in the clouds. It was on paper, in steps, in goals, in action. The path was clear, and he walked it steadily. And then, the world began to notice. The world changes. Time passed, and the boy grew taller, stronger, and wiser. The small steps he had taken every day began to show results. He could read books more easily, speak new words with confidence, and draw pictures that looked real. His small victories were no longer invisible to the world. Slowly, the people who had laughed at him began to notice something different. At school, the children who had mocked him now looked with surprise. "He can read so well," they whispered. "He draws better than anyone." Even the teachers, who had once doubted his dreams, began to smile proudly. One day, the teacher said in front of the class, "This boy has worked harder than anyone I know." He did not stop, even when it was difficult. The boy blushed, but felt proud. His quiet effort, his persistence, had become visible. The neighbors who had once laughed behind their hands began to respect him. They saw the boy reading in the evenings, drawing under the stars and helping his family while still improving himself. They began to ask him for advice. "How do you learn so much?" they asked. "How do you practice every day?" He explained his routine and his small steps. Some of the children started to copy him, following his example. The boy realized that even small results could inspire others. His family also began to change. His parents, who had worried about him, now smiled when they saw his books and drawings. "You have worked very hard," his mother said one evening. "We are proud of you." His brothers and cousins, who had once laughed, began to ask him to teach them some of his lessons. They wanted to try what he had done. the boy felt a quiet joy. He had not only improved his own life, but had also inspired his family. The contrast was clear. Before, the boy was rejected, laughed at, and doubted. His dreams seemed impossible. Now the same people who once mocked him looked with admiration. Their voices had changed from ridicule to respect. The boy realized that the world does not always notice hard work at first, but persistence and effort eventually earn recognition. People may doubt you at first, but if you stay true to your dream, the world will begin to respect you. He also noticed another truth. Recognition does not always come quickly. Sometimes it comes slowly, like the rising sun. He remembered the nights he spent alone, studying by dim firelight. He remembered the failures, the hunger, the pain, and the laughter of others. And now, seeing the respect of others, he realized that every struggle had been necessary. Every challenge had built his strength, prepared him for the moment when the world would notice. The boy's results were small at first. One day he could read a whole book without help. Another day, he drew a detailed picture that made his classmates stare. Slowly, these small results grew into bigger achievements. He learned that success is not always immediate. It comes in small steps, repeated over time, until others can see the change. Even as he gained recognition, he remained humble. He did not boast or show off. He remembered the boy who had once been laughed at, who had worked alone under the stars, who had struggled with hunger and failure. He knew that recognition was not the goal. It was the result of staying true to his dream, of working every day, of believing in himself when no one else did. This period of recognition taught him another important lesson. Success and respect are not about pleasing everyone. They are about staying committed to your own path. People may still doubt you, even admire you, or question your choices. What matters is that you continue with courage and discipline, just as the boy had done for years. The world had begun to change around him. Doors that were once closed slowly opened. People who had ignored him now asked him questions. Others sought his guidance. Even the small children in the village looked at him with hope, inspired by the quiet strength of one boy who had never given up. Yet, even with all this recognition, the boy never forgot where he came from. He remembered the village, his small house, his parents, and the nights he spent under the stars with only a notebook and a pencil. He knew that the journey was not just about admiration or success. It was about growth, courage, and the dreams that had carried him through every struggle. But even then, he remembered his roots. Giving back. The boy had grown into a young man. His dreams, once small sparks in his heart, had become real. He could read fluently, speak with confidence, and create beautiful drawings. He had learned English, studied hard, and persevered through every challenge. People admired him, and opportunities that once seemed impossible were now within reach. But the young man remembered the long nights, the hunger, the laughter, and the doubts. He knew that success was sweeter when shared. He began to help others in his village. He visited children who were struggling with school and taught them the words he had learned. He encouraged them to dream big, just as he had. Some children were shy or scared. Some had been laughed at by classmates or doubted by family. He told them, "Do not stop. Every small step matters. One day, your dream will grow." His own story became a light in their hearts, proof that change is possible. The young man also helped families who were poor like his own had been. He shared small resources he could offer, books, pencils, and tools to help them learn new skills. He taught them how to practice English every day, how to draw, and how to study by using what they had. The village began to change slowly. Children who had no hope began to work harder. Families who had only survived before began to dream about better lives. He remembered the people who had laughed at him. Instead of holding anger, he felt compassion. He knew that many laughed not because they were cruel, but because they did not understand. Now he could show them what persistence, hard work, and courage could achieve. His story became an example that effort and belief can change the future. The contrast between selfish success and meaningful success became clear to him. Success alone, without sharing, can feel empty. It can bring wealth or fame, but it does not fill the heart. True success lifts others. It spreads hope, inspiration, and knowledge. The young man felt that every achievement mattered more when it helped someone else take a step forward. He also realized that giving back strengthened his own dream. Teaching children, helping families, and inspiring others gave him energy and purpose. He saw their eyes light up when they learned a new word or drew a better picture. Their joy reminded him of the boy he once was, small, hungry, and full of dreams. Their courage reminded him that dreams do not belong to one person. They grow stronger when shared. The young man did not stop at small lessons. He helped the village organize a small library with books that anyone could use. He taught the children to read and write every day, even if it was just for a short time. The library became a place of hope. It was a place where dreams could grow. Parents, once worried about survival alone, began to encourage their children to learn. The village slowly transformed, not through wealth, but through knowledge and courage. Everywhere he went, he told his story. "I was once a boy like you," he said. "I was poor, laughed at, and doubted, but I never stopped dreaming. I worked hard, fell many times, and kept going. Now, I want you to know that your dream can grow too." The children listened carefully. They copied his habits, practiced every day, and slowly began to believe in themselves. His dream had multiplied. He also taught the adults. Parents learned that encouraging their children and providing small guidance was more valuable than wealth alone. Teachers began to use creative ways to help students practice English, drawing, and reading. The whole community started to change. One boy's dream had sparked a wave of hope. The young man realized an important truth. True dreams are not selfish. They are not only about money, fame, or recognition. They are about lifting yourself and lifting others. A dream becomes meaningful when it spreads. Success is not measured by what you have, but by the lives you touch. His journey from a poor, small boy to a respected young man was remarkable. But the most important part was not his personal success. It was the impact he had on others. Each child learning to read, each family gaining hope, each neighbor inspired by his story. These were the real treasures of his life. This is why his story is not just about him, it is about us. The lesson for us all. In this part of our story, we connect the boy's journey to your life. You are learners of English, dreamers from every corner of the world. Like the boy, you may feel small, unsure, or afraid that your dream is too big. You may struggle with English words, feel embarrassed when you make mistakes, or think that learning is too hard. These feelings are normal. Everyone faces doubt. But the boy's story shows us an important truth. Even the smallest step forward can change everything. The boy's life was full of choices. He could give up, like many around him wanted him to do. He could have believed that poverty, hunger, and difficulty were the end. He could have joined the children who laughed at him and stayed small. That life, giving up, was easy, safe, and predictable. But it led nowhere. The boy saw it clearly and refused that path. Instead, he held on to his dream, acted every day, and trusted in his own effort. You too have a choice. You can give up when English feels too hard. You can stop learning when a sentence is too long or a word is too difficult. Or you can take one small step again and again. Just like the boy, learning English is a journey. Every word you speak, every sentence you read, every time you practice, you are moving forward. Step by step, day by day, your dream grows. The boy also teaches us that failures are not the end. You will make mistakes. You will mispronounce words. You may forget grammar rules. People may laugh, or you may feel embarrassed. That is normal. Mistakes are part of learning, part of growing. The boy fell many times, yet he rose every time. And each time he rose, he became stronger, smarter, and closer to his dream. English learning works the same way. Every mistake is a step toward improvement. Every small success builds confidence. Persistence is another lesson. The boy did not stop when things were hard. He practiced at night, studied by firelight, drew and learned every day. Learning English also requires persistence. It is not magic. You may not speak fluently immediately, but if you continue, every small effort adds up. Over time, words become easier, sentences flow naturally, and your understanding grows. Persistence turns effort into progress. Planning is important too. The boy shaped his dream into a clear plan. He divided big goals into small steps. You can do the same. Learn a few words today. Read a short story tomorrow. Practice speaking for 5 minutes, then 10. Small steps create big results. Random effort may be wasted, but effort with direction leads to success. Your English dream grows when you act with a plan. The boy's story also shows the power of helping others. As you learn, you can share your knowledge. Teach a friend a new word. Read a story to someone else. Encourage someone who struggles. Like the boy, your growth can inspire others. Learning English is not just about you. It can lift the people around you, creating a circle of motivation and hope. Contrast helps us see the truth. Giving up leads to regret. Dreams fade, opportunities pass, and potential is lost. Holding on leads to growth, knowledge, and confidence. The boy's life was once full of laughter and doubt from others. Now it is full of respect, pride, and the power to inspire. You too can experience this transformation. Every small effort builds your future. Every repeated step strengthens your skill. Every act of persistence moves you closer to your dream. Remember, the journey is personal. You will face difficulties. You may feel tired. You may want to stop. But like the boy, you can choose to continue. Believe in yourself. Act every day. Accept mistakes as lessons. Plan your steps. Persist even when it is hard. And slowly, step by step, your English will grow, your confidence will grow, and your dreams will become real. So, keep dreaming, keep learning, Keep practicing. Remember the boy who never stopped dreaming. Remember how he turned small steps into great change. Your journey is in your hands. The road may be long, but every effort, every word, every sentence brings you closer to the life you imagine. The story is over for the boy, but it is just beginning for you. Let his life inspire yours. Dream, act, persist, and never give up. Step by step, you will grow. Conclusion. Thank you for staying with us until the end of this story. You have followed the journey of a small boy from a poor village who dared to dream big, worked hard, failed many times, and finally turned his dreams into reality. His story is not just a tale of one boy. It is a story for all of us. Each of us has a dream, a goal, or a passion. Inside every learner of English, every dreamer, every person facing challenges, the boy who never stopped dreaming lives quietly, waiting for us to awaken him. Life often presents two paths. One path is easy and safe, giving up. This path may feel comfortable for a time. It avoids struggle, disappointment, and hard work. It is tempting when learning English feels difficult, when mistakes seem endless, or when progress is slow. But this path leads to regret. Dreams fade. Potential is lost. Opportunities pass. We imagine what could have been, and our hearts feel heavy with what-ifs. Ending the journey too soon is the choice of fear. It is the road that takes away hope instead of building it. The other path is challenging but rewarding. Persistence. This path demands effort, patience, and courage. It requires that we keep studying English even when it feels too hard. It asks us to practice speaking, reading, and listening every day. It encourages us to face mistakes as teachers, not enemies. It teaches us that small steps, repeated consistently, create progress that is strong and lasting. This path is the road of the dreamer, the path that leads to growth, confidence, and success. The boy in our story chose this path, and his life changed forever. Your journey can follow the same path. Imagine learning a new word today, practicing a short sentence tomorrow, reading a story next week. Step by step, effort by effort, you are building a bridge to your dream. You may feel tired, frustrated, or doubting yourself. That is natural. But every moment of persistence matters. Every mistake teaches you something new. Every sentence you speak aloud, every page you read, brings you closer to fluency and understanding. Like the boy, you can transform small actions into great results. Dreams grow stronger when we act. Like the boy, you must combine hope with action. A dream without effort is like a seed in the sand, waiting for water that never comes. But when you act every day, when you study, practice, and believe in yourself, your dream begins to grow. Slowly at first, then steadily. And just like the boy, the world around you will start to notice. People will see your progress. Friends, family, and even strangers may be inspired by your determination. Your effort becomes a ripple that spreads hope and motivation beyond yourself. There is another truth we learn from the boy. Your journey matters not only for you, but for others. When you learn English, you open doors to communicate, to understand, and to connect with people around the world. When you persist in following your dreams, you inspire those around you. Your story of courage, effort, and success becomes a light for someone else who may be struggling. The boy who once struggled in a small village became a guide for his village. You too can be a guide in your community, online, or wherever your journey takes you. Remember the contrast. Giving up ends a story before it truly begins. Persistence transforms a life, builds confidence, and creates opportunities. The boy's story reminds us that struggle is not a wall, but a ladder. Each challenge, each failure, each moment of doubt is a step upward, bringing us closer to our goals. The boy could have stopped many times. He could have chosen comfort, laughter, and safety. But he chose persistence. He chose action. He chose to dream and to live that dream. And so can you. If you want to continue growing your English and following your dreams, I encourage you to visit my YouTube channel, Read and Learn English. There, you will find more stories like this one, designed to help you improve your vocabulary, listening, and reading while inspiring you to dream big. Each video is a small step, like the pages in the boy's notebook. Watch, listen, repeat, and practice every day. Step by step, your English skills will grow and your confidence will rise. The most important lesson is this: the boy who never stopped dreaming lives inside you. He is the part of you that refuses to quit, that continues to study, that keeps speaking, reading, and listening in English, even when it is hard. He is the part of you that imagines a future better than today and takes small steps to make it real. Nurture this part of yourself. Protect it. Feed it with knowledge, practice, and courage. It will guide you through every struggle, every mistake, and every doubt. Ending your journey too soon is easy, but continuing, even in small ways, is powerful. Keep studying English daily. Keep practicing, reading, listening, and speaking. Keep taking steps toward your dream no matter how small. Every effort counts. Every day matters. And one day, like the boy, you will look back and see how far you have come, how much you have grown, and how your persistence has transformed your life. So, hold on to your dream. Believe in yourself. Act every day. Fail, learn, grow, and rise again. Your journey is unique, your story is important, and your dream is waiting. Let the boy who never stopped dreaming be your guide, your inspiration, and your example. And remember, your small steps today are the foundation of your success tomorrow. The story of the boy is over, but your story is just beginning. Dream big. Act daily. Persist without giving up. Learn, grow, and inspire. And always remember, the boy who never stopped dreaming is inside you, waiting to guide you to your own extraordinary future.